What's the message that voters were sending to Washington, D.C. in this historic election? Well, joining us to talk about that is Kellyanne Conway. She is the CEO of the polling company. And more than anybody, I think she's got her finger on the pulse of America. So, Kellyanne, what was the message last night?
Well, thank you, Tony. It's nice to be with you and all of your viewers and listeners. The message was unequivocally clear. Voters are telling Washington to stop the reckless spending. Not only is it an assault on our freedoms and immediately, but that we are saddling future generations with enormous debt. I'm really struck by the fact that for the first time in history, in modern polling history, a majority of Americans, both men and women, say the national debt is the issue that concerns them most 25 or 50 years down the road. That's compelling because it means people are focused on the national debt and reckless spending as a moral imperative. And I know many people are going to say, well, it was just the jobs and economy, it was just spending that were the important issues. That really gives short shrift to the American voter, who I think is more financially sophisticated and more intellectually peripatetic than most of the pundits will credit them. We voters can walk, chew gum, and juggle at the same time. It means that we certainly can be concerned about all three legs of that Reagan stool: the social issues, certainly the economic decline, and of course our threats to national security. So you look at a really trilateral message coming out of voters last night. We've been poring over our treasure trove of post-election data, and I can assure you that many people went into the ballot box not only with jobs and the economy and spending in Washington on their minds, but also getting back to basics and protecting the sanctity of life. This is the 15th post-election survey in a row that we have done in presidential and non-presidential years, Tony, where we're seeing a higher number of people call themselves pro-life, and more importantly, a higher number of people say that be against abortions in the first trimester, the second trimester, and of course partial birth abortion, which, as we know, is essentially the position of the Obama, Clinton, Kerry, Pelosi crowd.
Well, no place was this nexus seen more clearly than in the health care debate. And of course, FRC Action PAC had targeted 20 and 10, and 19 of those so far have gone down. And that was both a fiscal and a social issue.
That's right. If the spending and the bailouts at the beginning of the Obama administration were the tip of the iceberg, healthcare reform was the tipping point. And embedded in the healthcare reform, little known fact until folks like FRC made it public and known, was that the health care included, quote, abortion care, that we would not have the Hyde Amendment protected this decades-long ban on taxpayer-funded abortions in this country. And I'll tell you something else, Tony, it made a lot of people awaken to the fact that not only are we using domestic U.S. taxpayer dollars now to fund abortion through, quote, health care reform, but that we already do it internationally through the reversal of Mexico City policy. Many people didn't really know that that's what Mexico City was, or is, that, and Obama did that 3 days into his administration. It was such a big priority for him. So this is, in 2006, many social conservatives stayed at home to send a message. They were upset about creation of entitlements. They were upset about perhaps what they thought was short shrift given to the moral basket of issues by the previous Congress. But we've learned as morally minded voters that, quote, staying home and, quote, sending a message is really expensive and it's perilous because we got this whole crew in Washington. So instead of sending a message, we actually got out there and elected good people. And I really have to credit FRC Action and entities such as that for going after those pro-life Democrats in name only who went ahead without the Stupak Amendment, without the assurance of the Hyde Amendment being protected, went ahead and voted for something called health care reform. In 2,000 pages of legislation, the Democrats couldn't put a little footnote in there about abortion funding. They were so brazen about the true agenda being pushed through, and they paid the price at the polls.
Yeah. Kellyanne, I know you've got to go make a speech. Busy day for you, kind of giving people analysis of the election. But one final question for you. Last night's results, Tuesday night's results, not about embracing the Republicans, but more of rejecting the big government policies of the Democrats. Is that what you saw in the numbers?
Well, it is. And looking hence to 2012, I know many of your viewers will be interested in that, Tony. I think that the people on the ascendancy in the Republican Party and the broader conservative movement are those few men and women who voted against the reckless Bush spending and the reckless Obama spending. That's a far smaller
point.
number than people realize, because lots of our own folks got religion on spending when a Democrat got to the White House. But this has really been a 4-year, not just a 2-year, but a 4-year culmination of people's upset with Washington. We asked the question in our post-election survey, how did you feel going into the polls today? And anger was way down the list at 25%. Concern and frustration were top of the list. And I think that's important for all of us to understand. The media like to marginalize people as, quote, angry banshees. What people are is really nervous, frustrated, and concerned. And they've had the last word in this election.
Well, I hope that religion spreads among Republicans and they get that conservative-itis that is necessary to return this country. Kellyanne, thanks for joining us.